everybody, today is my second video for the monthly recommendations group. I will leave a link down below to the Goodreads group. It's hosted by Kayla from Kayla Rain and Trina from Between Chapters. And this month's theme is survival stories. When I first heard about this, I was like, yeah, I have so many things to talk about. But I went through my Goodreads bookshelf and I didn't really feel like any of the books that I read fit in the way that the Goodreads group was really asking for or intending. Then I realized that I had been reading Wild by Cheryl straight on audiobook and thought that that fit so well. And then I didn't just want to talk about one book, so what I decided was to read the book and then watch the movie with Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern that was made in 2014 and was up for a bunch of Academy Awards. So I thought that that would be a good pairing off, that I could compare the book and the movie and tell you guys what I thought about both of them. So I kind of have had a long relationship with this book. I first started reading it like right after it came out in 2012 or 2013, and I couldn't really get into it. I would read it and I'd get into like 60 pages, then I wouldn't read it for months, then I'd pick it up again, and I never made it past like 120 pages. Not because I wasn't enjoying it, but I was either distracted or I was not really in the mood for it. As I was getting more into audiobooks, I decided to get back into Wild, and that was definitely the way to go for me. I don't know what Wild is about, which is probably unlikely because this book's been out for a while and it's been talked about a lot. It's basically the story of Cheryl Strayed and how she hikes the PCT, the Pacific Crest Trail that runs from kind of Mexico all the way to like Canada on the west coast, and so she does part of that trail. And it's kind of her trying to find herself after she's lost her mother to cancer, after her divorce from her husband, and kind of like her life is unraveling. She ends up becoming an addict, and so it's kind of her trying to discover herself again and survive and get out of that mess that kind of enveloped her. I think my favorite thing about this book is that it never puts up a front. It's always honest, even in the most excruciating ways. Cheryl Strayed, the author, can make it seem logical and reasonable that this woman can be doing so many contradictory things, like that she could love her husband so much but also cheat on him, and how she could love her mother so much but also curse her at the same time. Cheryl Strayed is very good at getting her feelings and thoughts across to you for you to understand that a human being could be all of those things at once. When it comes to drugs, sex, and broken family, there's not really any place that Cheryl Strayed doesn't go. She lets you in completely. She doesn't hold anything back, which makes the experience feel way more genuine and like I can understand her fully because she's giving all of herself to this memoir. I really enjoy Strayed's writing as well. She focuses a lot on imagery. Her writing is also very lyrical and poetic. Even if you haven't abused drugs yourself, if you haven't come from a broken home, if you have never been married, have never been divorced, you still feel like you understand all of these experiences because of her writing. She meets a lot of different characters while she's hiking on the trail, and they become a very important part to the story. It's not just about her learning about herself by hiking this trail, it's also about her learning about other people's experiences, and she makes all of these characters feel very three-dimensional. They serve a purpose in her journey. So overall, I truly enjoyed this book and I do recommend it. It's a great survival story. It doesn't feel like a cliched, look at me, these are things that are happening to me. It feels more like an honest, this is who I am and I want you to understand me just a little tiny bit by hearing my story. So on to the movie. So the movie, of course, there's a time constraint. This movie is only like an hour and 50 minutes and you can't even really scratch the surface with that. So it does simplify a lot of things and some characters aren't really in the movie as much as they are in the book. It's still a good medium for this story because it uses visuals to portray the feelings and emotions and thoughts that Strayed is having. The movie is also a lot more humorous and emotional than the book is. I do think that this has to do with the visuals. I really give all of it to Reese Witherspoon and Laura Dern. I think they did such a wonderful job with their role. Especially Laura Dern, I feel like is the Bobby that I had in my brain from the book. And the movie is also a little bit less humiliating and a little bit more polished than the book is. I feel like in the book it was a little bit more real when it came to the things she did that were wrong because she was such an amateur. But overall, I also really enjoyed the movie. I think it's a great companion to the book, and I'm so glad that Reese Witherspoon and her production company decided to actually make it into a movie. So that's pretty much it for the movie and the book. You should give both of them a chance, and if you don't want to put in the work of actually reading the book, then at least watch the movie because it's less than 2 hours. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed the survival story that I talked about, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye bye! Look at this baby hair. Why are you trying me?